Welcome back to today's session, the second session of Learning Mbal. It's Kiza Thomas again taking you through Mbal training. Please don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to share it with your friends so that they can be part of us. So in the last module, we went through the options where we input this information, and I hope you still remember how to do it. So today we are going to go to the next part where we shall look at how to input the PVT information. So when you come and you select the fluid properties that you are using for your project, so you realize that now the interface has kind of changed. It is showing you here that you have match, so you can do history matching. If you have data which is from a certain field, you can fill in the tables depending on what you have. Sometimes when they give you data from a certain field and you're in a certain place, you have to import this data and look at it. Or you can do exportation. You export the data so that you can share it with someone somewhere in an office. So these import export are for that purpose, and calculating it helps you to get your data together. Then if you want when we are using the matching, we are doing history matching. It is to get this data together with what the new data we have versus the old data that we had. So each day as a production engineer, you always do reporting for what is happening in the field, and probably you're using Mbal, so you have to keep matching the data to the new day that you have filled in. So welcome, and we are going to go through this session together. So one, depending on the values that you've gotten, what you have gotten after testing the oil when you're in the field, if it is in a certain tank and you're reporting a certain tank X or Y, so you get the information of the gas oil ratio. What was your gas oil ratio? Maybe you got a gas oil ratio of 250. Then maybe the oil API is around 0.93, or any that you have. Let me use 0.91. No, not 0.191. Maybe you have an API of 30 something, maybe 31. So the gas gravity perhaps is 0. So you have to be keen with the units that you're using with the oil gravity. So we are using API. So I've chosen an API of 31, depending on the scale of oil that you're having. Then we look at the gas gravity, and I'm going to use the gas gravity of 0. Since this one is in SP gravity, I'm going to use 0.78, and then the water salinity that you've measured in the field, you place it in. Maybe you have a salinity of 200 ppm or 2000, any that you have. If you tested and you got a percentage of hydrogen sulfide, which I wouldn't wish you to get, you have to report it. Maybe you have 0% or 0 point something percent. The percentage of carbon dioxide, you also report it. The percentage of nitrogen, you also report it, depending on what you've gotten. So when you finish this, since now we are working without data that we've imported, we are not going to do any matching. We don't have any tables that we are working with. We don't have any imported data. I'm not importing any data because we are working with fresh data. I'm not exporting any data. If you want, you can export this and share it with your supervisor somewhere so that they can also review what you're working with. And once you're done, you selected the separator stage. If it's two stage, you select the 2-stage, and you choose the type of correlation that you want to use, or that your company is working with, or what you're working with for your research. Then there's the oil viscosity. You also choose which one you want to work with. For now, I'm going to leave them the way they are, and then you have to choose the miscibility, whether it's controlled or not. If it's controlled, then you select it. If it's not controlled, then you leave it unselected. So the other thing is this part of calculating. You click on calculate. You have to put in the temperature. You have to report the temperature of the oil that you have. So if you have different temperatures that you have, then you can put them. Maybe you had a temperature range, maybe from 100, since it's in degrees Fahrenheit, maybe it's from 130 degrees Fahrenheit to let's say up to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. You have to put it in, and you have to indicate the number of steps used. Maybe use 5 steps, use 10 steps. You have to report it, and then you also have to report the pressure. When it was at 130 degrees, what was the pressure that you reported? Maybe you reported the pressure of 2,300, and at 160 maybe the pressure was quite higher, maybe it was up to 2,700. So we are doing this as a way of practicing. So you also put in the number of steps, and then you click on calculate. It should be able to bring you to this, and then when you put in the calculate, it should be able to give you the values for temperature, pressure, bubble point pressure at each step, the gas oil ratio at each step, the oil FVF, we have the oil viscosity, Z factor, as you can see. And then you should be able to generate a report out of this. You can click on report and you generate a report out of this. For now, I'm going to leave it out. And you can also look at the different graphs by clicking on graphs. And when we get to these graphs, we can generate according to different ways we are going to report our work. If you can see, I clicked on variables, and we have different types of variables. One, we have the gas oil ratio versus pressure, but maybe you'd want to report with temperature, so you click on temperature and you come and click on done. It is going to change. It has changed down here from pressure to temperature. So we get different graphs depending on what we are reporting. So if I want to see different variables versus pressure, then I'll keep clicking on next variable, and it will keep showing me each and every other variable versus the pressure versus the temperature. So you can look at all this from here. I'm just clicking on next variable, and I'm able to see how it is working in the graph module. So if it is pressure, we also do the same thing. Go back to pressure, and they are showing that variable. And as you can see, when I keep clicking next variable, it keeps changing. It keeps giving me variables at each stage versus pressure. So this is the part of the graphs. This is how we get the graphs, and then we can be able to interpret the different graphs according to our first input. So I'm going to close this. When you can either click finish or done. So that was the part of the plot to look at how our PVT data is. And then when I'm done looking at all this work, then I can click on done. I'm done with this, and we are not doing any matching of any data because this is the first data we've input. So if you have all data, you can do matching, match different parameters. So I'm just going to click on done so that we can proceed. So thank you very much for being part of the second tutorial for Mbal. I really hope you can come back for the next one, and please don't forget to subscribe. You can always encourage a colleague to also subscribe and be a part of this online training. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your support. It's Kiza Thomas Microwise taking you through IPM